your regular process?
Just the way it's made. Greek yogurt tends to be richer, it's just made a little different way. What I would do when I'm choosing yogurts is I try to choose the ones that don't have so much added sugar in them. You know, that's where you get into trouble with yogurts. So, and a low-fat yogurt. So I try to definitely go with a low-fat yogurt or non-fat yogurt. But yogurt is loaded in nutrients. It's a great snack. If you're trying to lose weight, drinking your calories like drinking milk goes down a lot quicker than eating your calories, which would be like eating yogurt. So I try to get men that are trying to lose weight off the milk and onto yogurt or low-fat cheese because they feel like they're chewing more and eating more.
So if you do yogurt with no sugar, what about putting a sweetener in it?
Sure, a little bit of
Sweetener,
sweetener.
okay?
Well, you mean like artificial sweetener?
Oh, that stuff that grows on a...
Stevia? Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
that's okay. Doesn't have any calories in it. There's no evidence that it's harmful and it's natural, so if you want to. I add fruit as the sweetener. So adding frozen berries or that is a good sweetener without having to use an artificial sweetener, but that's fine. All right, tea. We don't have enough evidence on tea. There has been some studies about drinking green tea, and it's certainly fine to have tea. It's not going to hurt you, but we don't have enough evidence. And then the last is supplements. So the guidelines for supplements. First of all, follow your doctor's recommendations. If you've been diagnosed with a deficiency of some vitamin or mineral, then your doctor has you on something for a reason. But if you're taking a vitamin and mineral, and your doctor doesn't know it, and you don't know what you're really doing, then I would discuss it with your doctor. There actually was an example of men that had prostate cancer, or they did a study called the SELECT study, and they gave men, before they had prostate cancer, selenium and vitamin E. And the men that had the high doses of selenium supplement ended up having a higher risk of prostate cancer, so they had to stop the study. So, taking individual supplements can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And things like B vitamins and phosphorus and calcium actually work together. If you get one dose of one vitamin, not enough of another, it can interfere or not absorb as well. I mean, Mother Nature knows best. Truly, it's kind of amazing what our food supply, if you get a mixed number of food. It is okay to take a multivitamin mineral that's like 100% of the RDA, that's fine, that's safe, that's not proven to be detrimental. And then the only other thing is that vitamin D, that is one exception to the rule. And why is that an exception to the rule? Because of where we live.
Because we don't get enough.
We don't absorb it in the wintertime. So we can't even absorb vitamin D. It's a fat-soluble vitamin, so if you live in the Northwest, and now you have cancer, or you want to prevent skin cancer, you're going to wear sunscreen, right? And then if you have darker skin, so the darker your skin, the harder it is to absorb vitamin D. So I'm actually Italian, so I have actually a harder time absorbing it. Or if you have kidney problems. Kidney disease can decrease your risk, your ability to absorb vitamin D. Any of those reasons, talk to your doctor about vitamin D supplementation. The RDA just increased recently too, so the RDA for vitamin D just went up to 600 IUs a day for men that are under 70 and 800 IUs a day for men that are over 71, which is a lot.
My hearing aids don't discriminate between B and D.
D as in David.
Okay.
Very good question. Yeah, I should always, that's what we do in the hospital. We say B and D, we say boy and David.
Yeah.
So yeah, vitamin D is in David. All right, any questions so far about that page?
Yes.
Yeah.
When we go back to the oils here, olive oils quickly, what about avocado oil? Do you have any feeling on that? Because we use that quite a bit.
Avocado olive oil has it's from a plant. It has an excellent flavor. It's really expensive, but it adds a great flavor to food. Another oil you can try for high temperature cooking is sesame oil. Sesame oil is a safe food. You can't really cook at high temperatures like, you're trying to get it crisp on something with olive oil. It's not meant for high temperature cooking. But sesame seed oil is also a good choice.
Macadamia nut oil is very good
Any
too.
of the oils you want to try that are from a plant are going to be beneficial, except coconut oil. That was really popular lately. Oh, everybody wanted to do coconut oil.
Paleo.
It doesn't have as much of the unsaturated fat in it. So don't go crazy on coconut oil. I mean, eat your coconut if you like it, but you don't have to use coconut oil. So good question. All right, so the next page is the 5-star page. These are lifestyle factors. And these have absolutely convincing evidence that they will help decrease the risk of cancer progression. So all those other foods were 1 or 2 stars. They're helpful, they're good for you. I've given you enough ammunition to understand that, but these are 5-star recommendations. And I'm only going to talk about the top 3 because the last 3 I'm going to have you discuss with your doctor. But exercise. This is why Tim's involved in the study. Do they make you exercise vigorously?
Yeah, they use a target heart rate, and
Yeah.
then, which for me, it really wasn't hard to do, but since I started it, it's become a competition with myself, so I've found that I've exercised more each week that I've been in it.
Well, and that's where you, first of all, do it. Exercise has been proven to decrease your risk of cancer progression. It also helps you keep lean. And we always know we want more lean body mass and less fat mass. So the study on exercise, this is the CAPTURE study that I mentioned earlier, found men who walked 3 or more hours a week at a brisk pace, which is like 3 miles an hour or more, after diagnosis had a 57% lower risk of prostate cancer recurrence compared to men that didn't walk at all. And vigorous exercise, if your doctor says it's okay, like where you're actually breaking a sweat, is even more helpful. So here's the thing. If you're not exercising now, go talk to your doctor first. I don't know your health history. I don't know if you have other risk factors. You might have a bad hip. Talk to your doctor about what you're allowed to do and start slow and find something that you enjoy. You know, walking is the easiest and least expensive thing to do, and now we're getting into nice summer months. And we've got some, like the golf course over here, Chambers Bay is a really nice place to walk. Stillicum Park, I go there all the time and go through the trails. You know, you don't have to join a gym to exercise. Or just be active, like who does yard work? You mow the lawn? Well, that's activity. You know, it doesn't have to be exercising. But get moving. If nothing else, you gotta get moving. And then BMI, you know how you guys all know your PSA? Well, you also need to know your BMI. So your BMI is your body mass index. It's a measure of your height versus your weight. And it's one of the tools that we use to see if you're at a healthy weight, or you're a little overweight, or you're really overweight. And Tim probably did one of the most helpful things anybody could do is he lost weight. He lost 28 pounds. Studies have shown that those who have a healthier BMI, which is under 25, have, if it's a high BMI, it's associated with many health problems. We know that the increased risk for diabetes. It may alter male hormones. So if you have a large BMI, you're maybe making more male hormones. And if you're just on active surveillance, you want to block any of the hormones your body's naturally making. And that's one of the ways you can do it is lean. It's mostly made in the belly fat too. It was where the testosterone and besides the prostate, the body fat can be produced hormones. So your waist circumference is another way. Like men are supposed to be under 40 inches as a goal from like your belly button around. But any little bit helps. I mean, if you are at a healthy weight, stay there. If you're a little overweight, try to lose 10 pounds over the next 6 months. Don't do it aggressively, just think about it. Because that's a 5-star rating. Smoking, that's a 5-star rating. Well, that's kind of a no-brainer, but smoking is one of the most difficult things to stop. So my advice would be is if you do smoke, that would be your #1 goal. Don't even think about anything I've said about nutrition and lifestyle until you focus on stopping smoking. That's how important that is. All right, any questions? Okay, now we're going to get to the good part. How do you put it all together? So I made you a little healthy plate you can put on your refrigerator. So ideally, to get these guidelines into practice, we kind of have a plate that looks a certain way. Ideally, half of our plate should be fruits and vegetables, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. The more colorful, the better. Oops. It should contain whole grains. So when I talked about not eating the white grains and the white foods, those have no fiber. You want to eat a whole grain. And the way to tell a whole grain is to look at the label. So this is something called farro. Has anybody ever had farro before? It's an ancient grain. It's used in Mediterranean cooking. It is great with a salad as a grain in a salad, or you can also use it like making risotto. and it's not very expensive, but it has 3 grams of fiber. So you look at our total carbohydrates, and then you'll see dietary fiber, 3 grams. So when you're looking at a label, and I'll pass this around, look at the label that says 3 grams. So 3 grams or more is a high fiber food. So look at that. If you've read a label, just pass it on. But if you haven't read a label, it's just right there. That's how you check. And if it says 0, it means it has no fiber, so it's not going to give you very much. And then I brought purple because the one colorful food that has the most layers of nutrients is purple. Because the darker the color, the more nutrition. So today is on sale, it's blackberries. So blackberries are dark, rich purple. And these would be great in your cereal. They wouldn't add natural sweetness. They also are high in fiber. And so I buy what's on sale and what looks good and what's in season. So that was on sale today for highlighting a purple color.
How do you eat that? With cereals and stuff, your blackberries?
Oh, you can throw it in yogurt, you can eat it with cereals, you can blend it up in a smoothie, you can put it in a salad. Like I'll make a vegetable salad, but then I'll put fruit in it. So you can throw berries in a fruit salad, a vegetable salad, and add them in there. If you have a problem with seeds, some people don't do very well with seeds. These have a pretty big seed in them. You might want to freeze them and then blend them up in a smoothie, and then they kind of go into solution a little bit better. Or ice cream, I'll put those, instead of ice cream, you can buy like a low-fat frozen yogurt and put blackberries on top, and it's actually a nice dessert.
I find that blackberries are very good in my jam,
You can take broccoli jam too.
along with my sugar.
Well, at least you get some food color in there, get some purple. Meats, I put down in the meat and others category. Choose wild fish, skinless poultry, legumes, the beans. And then I brought beans, because you don't have to soak beans to eat good beans. Just buy the canned beans. If you take canned beans and rinse them off really well, you remove almost half the sodium that's in it. I got cannellini beans because I like them, but you can buy any beans. So don't feel like you have to soak beans. The goal for a healthy diet is 2 cups or more a week of beans. And you can throw them in a soup, you can put them in a salad. I make chili, I make 3-bean, 3-bean salads. But those are another way to get your protein.
2 cups a week?
2 cups a week.
Any kind of beans?
Any kind of beans, any kind you like. Vary them up. Different foods have different values, and so I try to do different things every week. Tofu's a protein, and then low-fat yogurt's a protein. Limit red meat and pork. This is ideally. Eat less red meat and pork, less 4-legged animals, and more vegetable proteins and fish, and then chicken. So I would say red meat and pork ideally would be maybe once a week, would be a goal. So if you're eating red meat every day, maybe I'll do 1 day a week this next week where I'm going to eat chicken or I'm going to eat fish instead of the red meat or pork. Red meat and pork have just more saturated fat and they're more unhealthy. And then avoid or really limit processed or smoked meats and fried foods. And I put in, did she talk? I'm so fascinated. And then I put under the healthy fats, having a little healthy fat throughout the day. So an ounce of nuts, that's like just enough to fill your, just in the cup of your hand. Tablespoon of olive oil or avocado is a good healthy fat. And limit or avoid unhealthy fats. And then being active. Build up to 150 minutes a week is what's recommended. So, if you don't exercise at all, again, talk to your doctor and maybe start off with a 5-minute walk. I have people that are getting active chemotherapy and active cancer treatment, and they're so exhausted that we just talk about trying to get up every 3 times a day and get to the kitchen or get outside and just do a little bits of activity. They're very, very sick, and so little bits are better than nothing at all. And then I have one gentleman that, it's actually one of our close friends that had prostate cancer, and it went to his bones, so it really hurt his back for quite a while. But miracles never cease. Swear to God, he is cancer-free right now with the treatment he's had. So keep your mind open. And then the back is just an example of a three meals and snacks, 2,000 calories a day. Just an example. You don't have to eat, you follow it exactly, but some people just like to know, okay, if I were to eat 100% perfect every day, what would it look like? Now, I'm a dietitian. Do I eat 100% perfect every day? No. But I try to make choices, you know. Like tonight, I'm gonna get home for dinner late, so I'm not gonna make dinner tonight. But where am I gonna go to pick up dinner? I'm gonna go to a healthy place that makes, I don't even have to mention names, but I'm gonna make it a place with healthy, we're gonna have a little salad and a soup, and that is what we get up to go. Still healthy. So now is the time for prizes. And then we can go through questions. So this is to see how much you learned.
Oops, there's a test.
There's a test. And here's the you can only win once. So you can yell out the answer if you know it, but if you always get a prize, then you need to, you can't get another prize. So, you can look at your materials too. So what percent of your plate should be from fruits and vegetables?
50%.
50%, ooh, that was hard. I heard it over here first.
I'm sure you did.
I think I got it. So you get a purple, you get some purple berries if you like these. You can always trade if you don't.
It might have been you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll go this side this time. What do you combine with tomato sauce to absorb lycopene better?
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Oh, that was right there.
Very
So you
good.
get the olive
Oh,
oil
you get a good one.
and tomatoes.
Tomatoes would be great.
Do you like tomato?
I have-
Oh, you have olive oil?
I have olive oil.
Okay, then this could be for someone else. This was interesting because I wanted to buy an inexpensive olive oil, but I wanted to buy something from Italy because, well, look at all these foods. What do these have in common?
Mediterranean.
They featured in a Mediterranean diet. If you look at the Mediterranean diet, it all features these foods, which is very interesting because I think in the next several years we're going to come up with prostate cancer diet recommendations, and I bet you it's going to be based on the Mediterranean diet. Because it's an anti-inflammatory diet, it includes all these foods we just talked about. Is that part of your study?
Actually, everything that you've shown here, they're educating me. Each week I go, I get
Oh,
pieces of
now
this.
you can educate them.
Yeah.
So this
But-
one was actually from Italy, and I was in Italy visiting our family roots, and this was from Italy, but it's not very expensive, but it's extra virgin. You want extra virgin because that is the first press, and it has the green color. And when you get the green color, you're getting the phytonutrients. The color is the nutrient. So if you're buying olive oil, buy extra virgin. And I just bought from Italy, so. Since you do some, do you have olive oil at home? Since you do so much work here?
Yeah.
Anybody want some olive oil that has not had any at home? Okay, you can have the olive oil.
Yes. That's it.
This should be a part of every kitchen.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. How many beans per week are consumed in the typical Mediterranean diet? 2 cups. Ah, you get cannellinis.
Yes.
Those are my favorite. They work in everything.
Where you hiding it?
All right.
How does V8 fit in there?
V8 juice? V8 juice, I don't consider a food, I consider it, okay, here's a good rule of thumb. Eat from the farm, not the factory. So when you eat something from the farm, it looks like a tomato, but when you eat a tomato, drink a tomato juice, it doesn't look so much like a tomato. So it's more processed. It's not the most horrible thing in the world because it does have some nutritional value, but it's really usually high in salt and it has very little fiber in it. So I'd rather have you eat the stewed tomatoes than drink the tomato juice. But I'll pick my battles.
That's a good choice, because I like sweet potatoes.
Or tomato paste, even, tomato paste or tomato sauce, those are all good choices.
You can't put vodka in.
Can't put vodka. Well, now I'm for Bloody Mary one once in a while.
270 milligrams of sodium.
Fruit juices full of sugar.
Yeah, and notice how I didn't mention anything about fruit juice.
Yeah.
If you're watching your weight, I didn't mention about drinking your calories though. If you're watching your weight, it's better not to drink your calories like with alcohol or with milk or with juice. Because it just goes through real quickly and it's absorbed. We do know that alcohol, by the way, is also recommendation for cancer patients not to exceed, for men, 2 servings a day, or better yet, 0 if you're trying to watch your weight.
I understood that low fat, what that means is they take the fat out and put the sugar in to make it taste good.
On some products, it's very true. Absolutely, that's very true. So that's what happened in the American diet. Go back to what your grandparents ate, or what or what you would eat on a farm, simple, basic food. The more processed or packaged or low fat or this and that, the more something's risky there.
You mentioned eggs, do eggs, are they good protein?
They are an excellent source of protein.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is that with the studies that we have now, it may be that the egg yolk is not as beneficial for someone that has prostate cancer. So I would avoid what they're recommending, no more than 3 eggs a week.
You mentioned stewed potatoes, how does that compare
Oh,
with?
stewed tomatoes.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Oh,
Stupid thing.
anytime you cook a tomato, it concentrates the lycopene. So cooked tomatoes release more of the lycopene than a raw tomato. But a raw tomato is still good for you, but you just get more concentration with the cooking process. So it's more potent that way.
What about lycopene supplements?
Absolutely no recommendation to take supplements. Like I said, lycopene supplements don't do the same thing as food because supplements lack what? Fat, olive oil, so they don't absorb as well. And they're not controlled. So actually, if you look at the first page here, it says do not take lycopene supplements. And that's based on the research. Okay, let's do a next one. What would be a better choice than potato chips for a crunchy snack?
Carrots.
Yes.
Edamame, yeah. All right. Would you eat this if I gave it to you, or are you opposed to edamame?
It's in our freezer right now.
Oh, would you like this? Have you
Well,
had?
if somebody else would.
Well, these are different than the, is this really, are you just having the edamame that's whole, or have you tried the nuts before?
Oh, I haven't.
These are dried and crunchy, and they're a really nice option.
Thank you. What's the sodium content of that?
It is a little bit of sodium. It is only 150 milligrams, so it's less than a potato chip.
That's less than these.
But it is sea salt, and you're not going to use very much. The serving is 1/3 of a cup. So if you have 2,000 milligrams or more a day to play with, and this is only 150 milligrams for a salty snack that's good for you, you're making a choice. And I just don't salt my food so I can have a little bit on something like this that I know is also, look at this. So even though it has 150 milligrams of sodium, you're getting 8 grams of fiber and 13 grams of protein.
Soluble or insoluble fiber?
Most of the legumes is going to be a little bit of both. Both fibers are in a lot of foods. And all fibers are good for you.
Can you spell that word, Adamades, or whatever it is?
EDA,
Start again, please.
EDA, Etta,
Uh-huh.
and then MAME, M-A-M-E.
Thank you.
I found these at the grocery store where, this was actually in the health food section. That's the one place you might want to check for things like that. Like at Fred Meyer or at Safeway. All right, last question, because we're getting close on time. What do you combine with cruciferous vegetables to make them 13 times more potent?
Nuts.
Olive oil.
Oh, I'm going to give it to a lady here. I don't think you were the first, but you were supporting your husband, and I think that being a helpful, supportive person is very important. Will you eat this? Do you like broccoli? Okay. And wait, I have the recipes for those things too. So here's a roasted broccoli and walnut recipe. Very simple.
Does it have balsamic vinegar in it?
It doesn't, but oh my gosh. Anything with balsamic vinegar. I drink it just to drink. Like I go to balsamic vinegar wine tasting places and I drink balsamic vinegar.
Are you Italian?
Yeah, I am. Who got the farro? Did you get the farro? No, you got the farro. This is an easy mushroom farro risotto. It's very easy to make. You like?
Well, you didn't give that away because you.
Well, you get it.
Okay.
Maybe you'll eat it.
Yes.
Will you try it?
I'll try it.
So this makes, most risotto that you buy is the white rice, the Emporia rice. So if you substitute farro, this is really more like what they would make in Italy. And it has fiber, and it has a nice flavor and texture, and it still tastes the same as a side dish. Okay, you guys did very well with your questions and answers. Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed the can of the beans you have here is organic. Did you choose it because of?
I chose it because it was on sale. And it was on, truly. I just bought, I don't always, and you know what? There's no evidence that you have to buy organic to be healthy. You just need to eat your produce and your plants. So at this point, we don't have enough evidence. There is a little evidence on pesticides on fruits and vegetables. It's called the dirty dozen. And because beans are not a dirty dozen, I usually wouldn't buy them organic. If you're worried about the pesticides and herbicides and things on produce, you can look online and it'll talk about the dirty dozen. But it's mostly things, this is more environmental than cancer causing, but it's things like strawberries use a lot of pesticides, nectarines, fruits that you eat the skin. So sometimes, like if I'm buying an apple, I'll buy an organic apple because it tastes better and I know it doesn't have all the spray on it. Or another one example is, that I buy quite a bit of organic, is the bell peppers. Those are highly sprayed, but I love bell peppers, so I might buy organic there.
About GMO products.
Good question. GMO stands for genetically modified, and there was a whole bunch of controversy about that. At this point, we don't have any recommendations to avoid GMOs. And I grew up on a farm, and actually we can't grow GMO wheat in the United States. But I do lately been looking at labels, like everything I bought was non-GMO. Tofu especially. Tofu, I tend to buy the non-GMO tofu, because most of the tofu in the United States is genetically modified, most of the soybeans. So on that particular one, I do buy the non-GMO.
GMO question I'm more concerned about is, once you make that, your wheat tolerant to all pesticides and herbicides, the farmer doesn't have to be very discriminating, you just spray the whole field. So,
Well, we do, but,
you know, normally they would just spray the weeds, now they spray the whole field, because it's quicker and easier.
right.
So you pack that home a bit.
But ours, that's different than GMOs. So our wheat, because I'm a wheat farmer, I can tell you the answer to this one. We cannot raise strictly GMO wheat. We raise hybrids. We may raise wheats that have been hybrids to be able to handle certain sprays or, you know, whatever, but we do not raise GMO wheat because we can't, because you can't sell it anywhere.
Yeah.
It's illegal. And in fact, there was one place in Idaho that accidentally got some GMO wheat, and they had to shut it down and just close the whole elevator. So, you know, I do think we get too much of certain foods in our diet, like trans fats and, you know, the vegetable oils. We've gone way overboard on vegetable oils in our diet. And we eat a lot of refined grains. And maybe what we need to go is back to nature. Like farro is an ancient grain. And it's not processed. And they're talking about sprouted grains that are less processed, that are more natural, that don't have as much gluten in them, so they may not be as harmful as nuts. We don't know enough about that yet. So if you could just choose a whole grain, and there's nothing about GMOs at this point in cancer prevention, or cancer, man with prostate cancer.
Getting back to tomato sauce, tomato products, and olive oil, does that mean then that we could eat spaghetti for dinner and then pizza for breakfast every day?
Depends on what kind of crust and noodles you use. Because the crust of pizza, albeit is delicious, is really refined, right, most of the time? Although Italy's pizza is much different. And the pasta that we normally buy is kind of a white noodle. So I've been experimenting with different pastas. Number one, I try to buy either Italian pasta, which is a little different grain mixture, but I've been doing the garbanzo bean pasta. It's a little different texture, but they make bean pasta. Garbanzo bean, lentils, so you get protein. I mean, explore the world of food out there. You know, it's not too late to learn new tricks.
My wife came home with edamame spaghetti.
Well, good for her. Did you like it, or was it okay?
Double it, you can spell it.
Well, let me tell you what I had the other day was really weird. So I like fruits that are not good for you. I know they're not good for me, but I still like them. So I like buffalo sauce, you know, like on wings, or I like that buffalo sauce. So I had buffalo sauce cauliflower, and it had been roasted and cooked in buffalo sauce. It tasted like chicken. It was so good. It was served with a salad. I'm going to try to make it at home. They had it at the hospital at Gig Harbor, where I work once a week, and it was fascinatingly good.